Good morning, students. I am Professor Magellan, Department of Computer Science, Islamia College, Wanayambadi, affiliated to Tiruvallur University. I am going to teach you about software engineering subject for you. This is a very vital paper as far as your career is concerned. Why I say it is important? When you go for software development job in a software development company, either as a trainee programmer, developer, certainly you will be interviewed. If you are asked some 10 questions in your interview, I am sure that at least there will be 2 questions on software engineering. They test your basic knowledge of software development. They want to know whether developing a program is different from developing a software. They want you to know some basic issues involved in developing a software. So this paper is very vital for your career. So I expect you pay a great deal of interest in this paper and improve yourself. Now let us go to the definition of software engineering. What does the definition says? There are many definitions for software engineering by different authors, but almost all are same only. The meaning of the definition is same only. I would say the software engineering is a systematic approach for the development, operation, and maintenance and retirement of a software. That is, so software engineering is a systematic approach to the development and operation and maintenance and retirement of a software. Now look at this definition very carefully. You are developing a software. During the development, you implement what are the operations the software should do. You do some maintenance work and how the software should be retired, how the software should be updated, and those things, they are all part of this software engineering. Okay, so everything should be done in a very systematic approach. That means if a team of programmers are developing a software and if the entire team is moving to some other software development and some other group is developing this particular software, means then they should be able to understand what the previous team has started and where they left that software and everything they should know. There should be a systematic approach for the development, operation and the maintenance of a software. That is how the definition goes like this. Okay. Now in this syllabus, what are you going to study? We are following the textbook An Integrated Approach to Software Engineering by Narosa, publication by the author Pankaj Jalote. It's a very good book. It deals with the current topics of the software development, a systematic approach to the subject, This book includes some 10 chapters. All the 10 chapters are very vital for to understand this software engineering subject. Okay, these 10 chapters are divided into 5 units. In the first unit, you will study about introduction of the software engineering, especially what are the problem domain of the software engineering, that is how does a software different from a program, and what do you mean by a industrial strength software, and we will analyze about why this software is expensive, and there are many reasons for being expensive that we will explore. Then we will study about the unreliability of the software. These are some of the problem areas of the software. Okay, maintenance and rework, these things we will study. And also we will study about challenges. Challenges in software engineering. Okay, like the size of the software, quality and productivity expected, and the consistency and the repeatability expected, and your software should be able to adapt change. Those things we will discuss. Then we will just study about so what are the various ways to develop your software. Simply saying, software engineering approach. Okay, there we will study about various phased development process methods available and how to manage a particular process. Those things we will study as part of introduction about this software engineering. Then in the next chapter, we will study about software processes. Okay, there we will study what are the desired characteristics of a software process. That is the method. Okay, every software process should have some characteristics like predictability, and they should be able to support the changes, and they should allow easy defect removal, early defect removal. Those things are expected out of a software process that we will discuss. Then also we will discuss about software development process methods, various methods. Then we will study about various life cycle models like waterfall model, then prototyping model, iterative development model, time boxing model, and we will compare all these life cycle models. Okay. In addition to the above mentioned software process methods, there are other software processes like project management process, inspection process, and requirement change management process. They are also available. Those things we will study, and these two chapters will comprise unit 1. Unit 1. In the unit 2, we will study about software requirement analysis and specification. Software requirement specification and analysis. It's a very interesting chapter and write your paper. There we will study what is the need for a software requirement specification document, uh, how to analyze a problem analysis, then what you understood about the problem that you are going to for which you are going to develop the software, how to specify the requirements. Then in the requirement specification, you will study about characteristics of a SRS, what are the components of a SRS, then what is the specification language used, okay, those things we will study, and also we will study about validating a SRS document, okay, how you are going to validate. Then one important topic called metrics, okay. This metrics will be there for most of the remaining chapters, okay. What is the software metric for the SRS document, software requirement specification document. There we will use two techniques called the size metrics and the quality metrics. These things we will study in the software requirement specification and analysis. Then we will go for the software architecture. Once the SRS document is there, then you will go for the developing the design, design. Okay, for that you will go for software architecture. What is the role of a software architecture? What are the various architectural views like components and the connector view and other views. Especially, we will concentrate more on this component and the connector view. Then architecture styles for the components and the connector view. How to evaluate an architecture. Those things we will study in the software architecture. You see that the syllabus is well organized. One idea will lead to another idea. So you cannot go to architecture before having your SRS document, software requirement specification document. So once your SRS specification is over and you have a basic architecture model of the software you are going to develop, then you go for another next phase of software development called planning a software project. So these things will come in unit 3. Planning a software project. So there we will study about process planning, then effort estimation. Okay, so specifically in the effort estimation, we will study about one model called the COCOMO model, COCOMO, cost constructive model. Okay, and in that various approaches like bottom-up approach, top-down approaches of effort estimation, and everything is there. Then once the effort estimation has been discussed, then we will study about project scheduling and staffing. Okay, how much of staffs are needed, detailed scheduling, overall scheduling, and what should be the team structure and other things. Then after that, we will study about software configuration management plan. Okay, then followed by that, we should plan for quality plan. Okay, what are the various ways you can plan for the expected quality, that we will discuss. Then after this quality plan, we will study about risk management. Okay, how to assess the risk, then how to control the risk, those things we will study. Then after that, the project is in which state, that we should know at any time. So there will be a project monitoring plan. There will be a project monitoring plan. So these things we will study in uh, your chapter 5 of the unit 3. Okay. Then we will study about function oriented design, followed by the object oriented design. Okay. What are the various design principles, module level concepts, then what are the various design notations like structure charts, and how to specify the design, then what are the various structure design methodologies are there. Then we study about the metrics of function oriented design, that also we will study. Followed by this function oriented design, we will study about object oriented design. Object oriented design, how the object oriented design is different from the previous function oriented design, then how it is advantageous comparing to function oriented design. There we will study about some of the object oriented concepts like class, objects, relationship among the objects, inheritance, polymorphism, and others. Then how the coupling and the cohesion is somewhat different from the function oriented design. Then unified modeling, UML, for the object oriented design. Then what are the various design methodology for this object oriented design, like dynamic modeling, functional modeling, then how to define internal classes and operations, then how to optimize the model and your package. These things we will study in the object-oriented design. Followed finally, we end up the object-oriented design with the metrics. The function-oriented design also, we ended that design with the metrics, and this object-oriented design also will end up with the metrics. Okay. Then after this object-oriented design, we will go for detailed design. Detailed design. There we will go for one language called PDL. Okay. Then how to verify the detailed design and the metrics for this detailed design. Usually the detailed design is about the logical part of software that is being developed. Okay. Then followed by this uh, detailed design, we will go for coding. That is in the last chapter, last unit, unit 5. We will go for coding. Coding is an essential part of any software development. Okay. What are the various programming principles and the guidelines in coding, the coding process, refactoring, uh, verifying your code. So when you go for verification, you go for code inspection, static analysis, and you have to prove that your coding is correct. Then you have to perform unit testing, and the various others. Then we apply the software metrics for this coding. The metrics for the coding are size metrics and complexity metrics. Those things we will study in the coding. That is a very important part. And there we will study some common coding errors we commit, and also the structured programming way. Then what are the some some basic programming practices you should adapt so that errors in the coding are reduced. Those things we will study in the coding. Then followed by this coding, we will go for testing. Here we will test the product that we have developed. Some of the testing fundamentals. Well, there will you know what is a error, what is a fault, what is a failure. What is the difference between them? The psychology of testing. Then two testing methods called black box testing and white box testing. They will be discussed in the last chapter. In the black box testing, we will study equivalence class partitioning, cause effect graphing, pair wise testing, and those things we will study in the black box testing. In the white box testing, we will study about data flow based testing, control flow based criteria and others we will study in the white box testing. Then we will study about defect analysis and prevention in the testing, under the testing. Then what is the metrics for software testing? See, at the you see every idea, whether it is testing or coding or function oriented design or object oriented design, uh, or detailed design or detailed design or this software requirement specification, all of them uses a matrix. Okay, what is this matrix means? There are some quantifiable measures to know whether your SRS document is fine, whether your architecture is fine, whether your uh, design is fine, function-oriented design is fine, whether your object-oriented design is fine, and whether your detailed design is fine. See, all of them, all these concepts are having a quantifiable measures called software metrics of that particular topic, and that is a vital area. More and more developments are coming up in the software metrics that you should pay greater deal of attention in software metrics. Okay, so now I have given you some uh, basic idea about software engineering subject you are going to study. And I told you what is a software engineering. I said that it is a systematic approach for the development, maintenance, operation, and retirement of your software. As a student, you might be wondering what is a software. In fact, you have already been using a software. Okay, yes, software is a collection of programs. At the student level, you are writing a single program. A single program is different from a software. Okay, that you should know. So, software engineering can be viewed as a systematic collection of past experience, we can say. Okay. Uh, these experiences are arranged in the form of a methodological and guidelines approach. See, a small program can be written without using a software engineering principles. Okay, further you don't go for maintenance, quality issues, and unit testing and everything. Though no things are nothing of that are needed when you go for a small program. But if you want to develop a large software product, then these software engineering principles are very much needed to achieve the quality of the software and reduce the cost of development. Okay. For example, a friend of you wants to construct a small wall, building wall. They want you to construct a wall. Okay, constructing a wall, you can do it with your basic knowledge of construction. Okay, it won't require much of your civil engineering knowledge. Okay, you can build that wall with materials like bricks, cements, and with whatever knowledge you can, and with your common sense, you can develop, you can build that wall. But what happens when the same friend is asking you to build a large, complex, multi-storied building, multi-story building? Can you apply can you apply the very same basic knowledge of constructing a wall to the constructing a multi-storied building? Certainly, it is not possible. You don't have any good idea about building such a huge building. It would be very difficult to extend your idea about building a small wall into constructing a large building. So even if you try to build such a building with your basic knowledge, certainly it will collapse because you don't have requisite knowledge about strength of the materials used, what are the various testing should be done during the construction, and the planning and the architectural design of that building. Everything you don't know. You have only fairly basic knowledge. So with the lack of the about ideas, certainly you cannot build a bigger building. So building a small wall and building a larger building are entirely different issues. Okay, you can use your intuition and still be successful in building a small wall. But building a large building requires civil and architectural and other engineering principles. Okay. Similarly, without using software engineering principles, it will be difficult to build or develop a large program. Okay. In industry, it is usually you are expected to develop a large program to accommodate multiple functions. Okay. A problem with developing such a large commercial programs, softwares, is that complexity and difficulty levels of the programs increases exponentially. Okay. Uh, what is the effort needed for 10-line program is not the same for the 1,000-line program. Okay, that is what the complexity level and the difficulty levels of the program increases. Okay, when the size of the work to be done increases. That is, a program of 1,000 lines has some complexity, but a program of 10,000 lines of coding uh, has its own complexity. We cannot say that with the knowledge on my 1,000 lines coding, I can go for this 10,000 lines of coding. No, it is not so. The approach for developing a 10,000 lines of software is different from 1,000 lines of software. That should be kept in mind. So usually, uh, the software engineering principles use two different techniques to reduce the problem of complexity. And these techniques are abstraction and decomposition. Abstraction and decomposition. Okay. This principle of abstraction implies that a problem can be simplified by omitting irrelevant details. Okay, what is not required, just leave it out. When the irrelevant details are reduced, the chances of developing a software is bigger. That is the idea behind this. So the main purpose of abstraction is to consider only those aspects of the problem that are relevant for certain purpose, and suppress other aspects, okay, that are not relevant in the problem. Okay, so once the simpler problem is solved, then the omitted details can be taken into consideration, okay, if they are needed. The other way is the other way to approach the problem complexity is this decomposition. Just now I said what is this abstraction. Now the decomposition means, in the decomposition way, the problem is divided into smaller, several smaller problems, and each smaller problems are solved one by one. Okay, but you should bear it in mind that you cannot divide the problem randomly into smaller problems. Okay, the problem has to be decomposed such that each component of the decomposed problem can be solved independently. Okay, so one problem should not be depending on another problem. So that you should bear it in mind. They should be solved independently, and then the and then you should be able to combine the solutions of the difference to get the solution of the given original problem. So that is this decomposition method. So in the abstraction method, we leave out some irrelevant data so that the problem can be simplified. In the decomposition method, the given problem is divided into smaller independent problems, and the independent problems are solved, and their solutions are um, solutions are merged, used to get the solution of the given original problem. Okay, so we will study more about this introduction in the coming classes. Okay, have a good day. Come prepared in the next class. Okay.